Nice.
Okay, thank you.
We're going live. Now
Does
you.
my head look big?
No, your head is perfect.
So Leslie's coming separately.
You have a little baby. I tried to friend you, and then I was like, "Wow, that guy has a little baby."
No, they're not anymore. That's I have twins, but they're now 11. That's years ago.
Oh, so cute.
Thank
Well,
you.
they could have come. It's the age group.
Our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care.
Woo! We are Our Place Out Loud. I am your lovely and captivating host, Louise Palanker, here with a panel of wonderful teens. We've got Montana at our place. Kimute, Ryan, Maddie. In the studio, we have Jake. And our very special in-studio guest tonight, please welcome, if you will, with a round of applause, Joe Cipriano, who has been given his own microphone. Yep, that's your mic.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Oh,
And
wow.
his-
Oh, wait, no,
his-
please, sit down. No, please.
Very dear
Please
friend,
sit down.
Fred Melamed, who, did I pronounce your name correctly, Fred? Please help me.
As close as anybody in my family does. It's actually Melamed.
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 I was explaining it to Montana, and I said, there's a lot of schwas, and you just fill in the blanks and do your best. and then in terms of schwa, that's a sound like, it could be an A, it could be a U, it could be an
right.
O.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Well,
went to elementary school
I
with
did,
me, right?
but
Were you in
actually-
my class?
I don't. Where did you grow up?
Williamsville, New York, suburb of Buffalo.
I grew up in New York City.
Okay.
But not
So-
too far from here.
Well, maybe I passed you, like, on a street corner at some point. My
have you
dad
ever
was
been in prison? It's
My
possible.
dad was in the first.
And she has. Twice? Yeah.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
so, because.
Nothing stuck.
The more
But-
you
No.
know.
The
Yeah.
more you know. So you guys met on a movie set, and was it love at first sight, or
It
was
was. It was. Well, I fell in love with him.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like trying to avoid me, but I
I was merely playing hard to get.
Oh, that's
I
what
wasn't
it was.
trying to avoid you at all.
Yeah.
I thought you were wonderful.
He read the rules.
And the movie was In a World.
In a World.
By the lovely Lake Bell, writer, director, actor, star, amazing person. And I have a part that's like about this. I'm talking about the part in the movie. By
Do
the
you
way.
have that, Jakey, queued up? I don't know if we can
Have a
hear it,
very
but we can look at
small,
Joe in a
really?
movie. It's
I have
very
a-
exciting. See the play button? Yes. That's the part where.
So the scene that you're about to see.
Look, it's
look,
Joe.
there's me.
That's
And
Joe.
that's Mark Elliott,
And
the
Mark
voice
Elliott.
of Disney, to my left, or to your
Look, Joe,
left, my right.
Joe being emphatic. That was.
Yeah, look at that, huh? Yeah.
See, it was excellent.
You're going to see Fred in a second.
And there's Fred.
Yeah.
Because Joe was amusing. That's right.
And that's Lake Bell in the red.
And Dimitri Martin, who's
Yeah.
adorable.
He is. They are such a cute little couple in this film.
Yeah, they're so cute.
What is her name, Fred, the actress right there who plays?
Stephanie Allen.
Oh, my gosh, it's
Terrific.
so funny.
Good job, Fred, and on the spot, and you just right there.
Yes, I was practicing before I got here.
Now, Fred, you knew that Joe was a famous voiceover guy before you made this movie. So
Certainly.
how was it?
This is all about me,
I have
isn't
Joe's
it? Yes.
picture up in my locker from the time I was in high school. I aspired
You have
to be like
you have
Joe.
a locker. That's good.
Was it very exciting to meet Joe in person?
I'll tell you, honestly, Joe is very, very well known in the voiceover world.
That's
but
what I mean.
But he is truly.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. He's one of the giants in the field. I'm from New York, so even though I was a fairly big guy, not of the status of Joe, but pretty big guy, but it's kind of separate. The two coasts function rather discreetly, rather differently from one another. So I had heard of him, but we had never met before. So I came to California, maybe 2 or 3 times a year to do movies and stuff like that, television shows. But I wasn't really part of the scene as a voiceover guy here. It's kind of two different things. So I was thrilled to meet him and find out that he was acting in the movie. And then found out that he was a lovely person, and his wife Anna is equally lovely.
Yes, she absolutely is. She's one of my favorites.
Very good.
And so, kids on the panel, do you have any questions for either Joe? Oh, Ryan's hand is going up.
Wow.
Yeah, this is not so much a question exactly for you, but okay, you said the guy sitting next to you in that scene was the voice of Disney.
Yes.
What is the voice of Disney?
Mark Elliott, for your entire childhood, and probably your entire childhood as well, was the voice of all of the promos and the trailers for all of the, the Cinderella and every Disney.
So he was
movie.
that voiceover guy
Yes.
in the background.
If I don't know if we're able to bring up anything with Mark Elliott. Oh, you can't play audio, can we?
Well, we could play either audio.
I can imitate him.
Can I, Jolene, can I have you
Maybe you could.
reframe their camera? There's too much headroom on them.
That's just too much head.
Shoot. There you go.
There we go.
Oh,
See
look
what-
at that.
See what
there
I'm
is.
talking about?
Yeah, I see. Oh, look at that.
See how we
Yeah,
do this on the
that's
fly,
very
Ann?
good.
It's
good.
really professional.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, now they're handsome.
So to
That's
answer your
right.
question, he is the unmistakable voice of Disney. If you had a Disney DVD or you watched the Disney Channel or any Disney movie,
Do you do an impression of it?
it would be hard to.
I can't really do it.
I can't. Yeah.
It has to sound friendly.
From the Disney Vault.
Yeah.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
There you
I
go.
know
See that?
exactly-
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. There you go.
And what would be a good example of how they would know your voice?
Oh, Sunday it's an all new Simpsons on Fox. Or
Do you say that?
I do.
Oh, that's you.
Yes. Or what else?
How about on
Tonight on America's Got Talent. Now here's your host, Nick Cannon.
That's also you.
That is also me.
But Nick Cannon's so cool, and that means
Is
you
he?
get to introduce him.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, it's because not to go on too much of a tangent, but when I was like really little and Nickelodeon was so much different, they had like a host of Nickelodeon who would like spin. He was Pick Boy, but it was played by Nick Cannon. He was like he dressed up.
kidding.
He dressed up in a costume and like spin a wheel to choose what show would come on next.
Do you remember that, Ann? Because our kids watch Nickelodeon constantly.
Do you
Yeah.
remember that? Or do you remember? Yeah.
Wow.
I remember that, and he was like the greatest to me, and I just loved him.
Yeah.
And then I heard he got married to Mariah Carey. I'm like, what?
didn't even
But
know
Oh,
that.
really?
My childhood.
Yeah, yeah.
My
right.
childhood. It just ruined.
Why? What's wrong with Mariah Carey?
Because my 8th grade teacher used to play her constantly in the background while we were working, and we
That
would
can
be
ruin
like
it.
writing essays, and she'd be like,
That can ruin it.
But you know, Fred in New York was we were kind of like he said. I'm on the West Coast, he's on the East Coast. He was the voice of CBS Sports, the NFL. You did the Olympics.
Olympics, Mercedes-Benz,
Mercedes-Benz.
MCI.
So-
Are you the guy who gets to say like unauthorized reproduction of this
Yes.
thing for the NFL? Like,
Yes,
like without
there you go.
expression?
Yes,
Yeah.
among other.
I know-
Wow.
NFL on CBS.
Yeah.
There it
Respond, that
is.
kind of-
Yeah, exactly. And then like they show the logo, and you're like, you can't distribute this, and I'm like, okay,
Right.
wasn't planning on it. But
all those
good.
legal things, and in television, they try and brand things, and radio too. They try and brand things. They try and make things have a particular flavor. So very often they'll stick with one guy who has a particular sound to kind of make people associate it with that thing.
that makes
So
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you got this part in a world, was it just the perfect thing for you because you're both a voiceover guy and an actor?
No, no, it was not. It was very fortunate for me, but it had a great deal of personal resonance for me. Lake Bell, who wrote and directed and stars in it, had no idea that I had spent many, many years of my life as a voiceover guy.
Really?
Yeah,
No,
she
she didn't
had seen me in some movies, and she liked my acting, and I think she thought that my voice was plausible as that of a guy that did voiceovers, but she had no idea that I had done that for so long. So it was a world that I knew something about, and that was made it extra kind of special for me. But it was another part that I approached as I approach any part. The fact that I have so many friends in it, and particularly friends like my character who are vain, foolish, selfish, and other things, made it extra juicy for me. Because I could send up both my friends and myself, who am like that. to some
But they
degree.
do not realize they're being sent up at all.
I think it's I think they do actually.
No, they think it's this other guy.
Yeah.
They all do.
It's not me. It's at the other guy. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So now, Joe, I know you have written a book. Can I leak that I've read the book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I was
So-
thrilled that you read the book and you gave me notes.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
you never listened to any of my advice, and I don't
I
expect
did.
it to
I
begin
did listen,
now.
yes.
But the book was excellent, and what I love about the book is in your voiceover career, I feel that although you are excellent at voiceovering, if that is a verb.
Is that a verb?
I think it's voicing over, isn't it?
Voicing
Okay.
over. Oh, that's right.
there
Voicing
we go.
over.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
That would be like Eggs McMuffin, not Egg McMuffins.
okay. So although you are excellent at announcing,
Yes.
it doesn't
Why,
reveal.
thank you, Wheeze. May I call you Wheeze?
You may, you
All
may.
right, thank you.
It doesn't reveal quite the full depth and breadth of your personality and how funny you are. And Anne can attest to this. Joe's the funniest person we know. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he is. And
Wow.
so in the book, your full personality comes out.
Oh, how
and,
sweet. Thank you.
And the other part about you that I love is how tenacious you are while remaining nice and kind. But
Yes.
to the kids, like, how do you go after your dream?
Right, exactly. Well,
and not become a jerk?
yeah. Well, you know what? I started at 14 years of age, hanging around local radio station, and I just had a dream. I mean, I wanted to be that DJ that was on the radio, and I had no idea how to do it. So what I did was call my local radio station, the local DJ that I thought was amazing, and he allowed me to come down and see the radio station. Once I saw what it was all about, I just thought it was the most exciting job in the world. And I used to, at night, listen to radio stations that would come in from Chicago. I'm in Connecticut, where I grew up. I'd hear WCFL in Chicago and WLS and CKLW out of Detroit and WOWO out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And you'd hear all of these different disc jockeys and personalities coming, across the miles. And I just thought, wow, I mean, that is just the best job ever. And then once you decide what you want to do, it is tenacity. You just have to believe in yourself. And, when you're young, maybe you don't ask as many questions. Like you don't know, you want to do something, but you don't say, well, how am I going to do that? You just do it. And I think when people get to a certain age, they want to make a change in their life, and they really want to do it, but they get hung up on the how am I going to do this instead of just going ahead and doing it. So it's an advantage to be young and to decide, know what you want to do, what you want to do, and to go after it. And there is no shortage of people that'll tell you that you can't do it, and you just, don't listen to them and just continue on your path. And you know what? If you stay on that path and you're determined and you work at it, you will be successful.
It's really interesting. I was thinking on my way over here what I could impart, because I knew you guys were young, but I didn't know, exactly the kinds of questions that you would have. But I thought, what's the most important thing that I could really say that I would want to hear if I was 14, 15, 16, 17? What would really be helpful to me thinking back to when I was that age? And the best thing I could come up with was that there are some adults who are truly worth listening to and a huge number who are not, truthfully.
Wow, that is so true. And sometimes they can be your parents.
They could be, or they could be people at school. They could be, who knows? Mm-hmm. But the hard thing and the important thing is to develop your own sense of who deserves to be listened to.
Wow.
To develop your own sense of what's right, to develop your own sense of who you can trust, to develop your own sense of who really knows what's going on and who is just giving you the party line, so to speak, who is just giving you the same crap advice that they got that doesn't really have any relationship to the truth. That's not easy. It's hard, but it's actually worth doing. To do anything successfully, especially in the arts where Joe and I and many people work, requires a great deal of confidence. The catch-22 is, how can you be confident if you have no experience, right? You have to have experience to be confident. So there's some leaps of faith involved, if you know what I mean by that. Mm-hmm. And the only way you can get really confident is by actually working. Just like in school, you do stuff again and again and again, and then you just know it. You know how to do it. And you don't need so much bolstering. When I first started out as an actor, and I went to drama school, I really studied, worked at it hard, but I was so nervous. I was so self-conscious. I was so scared of being judged harshly, And then many, many years later, it sort of dawned on me that it's not really me. It's a piece of work. Of course, I care about the piece of work. I want to make it as good as I can. But people who are really good at things often fail. Often fail. I read this thing once. These guys in Chicago did this big study about what's the difference between people who succeed and people who fail, or people who give up, or people don't succeed at what it is they set out to do. And the only unifying thing was that they could find about the people who succeeded was that they kept going. They would fail, they would try another way, they would try another way, they would try another. They just kept going.
The pluckiness factor.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. And it's hard.
Determination, yeah.
It's hard because you get discouraged, That's part of being a human being. But you have to, in a sense, protect the part of you that's hopeful.
And when you fail, to say to yourself, to not become defensive or defiant, or, I get a lot of this in the app. I get a lot of kids saying, I hate myself. Because of something tiny that has gone wrong. Like, that's their go-to place. And that's so defeating, because what you really want to say is, what's the lesson? Why did this happen, and what was I supposed to learn? What's the takeaway? Because the only failure is never trying. And there's a lot of people laying on their couch who have, they haven't failed in their opinion because they haven't done anything that day. So to me, that's failure. Trying is heroic because it is scary. Any other questions for these two? That was wonderful.
And
advice.
you can enjoy the successes without having the failures as well, because then it just kind of emphasizes how wonderful the successes are.
No, and
to
it's
appreciate them.
It's even like kind of the same in your personal life. Like you have to date horrible people so that you can completely appreciate the right person when you find that person. Like that's just a part of.
Anne dated me, horrible person, and then she
moved on. What's the lesson? What's the
What is-
takeaway?
what's the takeaway?
It's been 30 years of this.
Her mom
It's a
said, "You're
hard
dating
lesson."
a disc jockey? You're kidding me."
I love your story about when you met Anne and the night before you guys were moving away and his baby girl was. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And
Taking Anne when we were moving to Los Angeles, and I realized that I'm actually taking their baby girl away from them, and how that resonated with me, especially now since I have kids. Yeah.
But no one's taking them. You can chain them to things.
So, can you?
Yeah, it's now
Is
legal.
that how these folks
Yes.
are here? Are they chained?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, you guys can't see it,
No.
but off camera, my feet are actually.
We're not-
I
chained to
thought
this
I
chair.
heard something. There was some sort of.
We're happy here. Don't.
No,
We're fine.
we're happy
Look
here.
away. Keo, you have a question.
Oh yeah. Was there like a talent that you guys had when you were young with your voices and acting or whatever, or was it just something that you saw and you were like, I want to do that? Or did you feel like, oh, I see something in myself that feels like I'm kind of talented at this and I want to do it a lot? Or was it just
Well, I'll just say quickly, I kind of went against what I had. I had a very high voice, and I did not have the kind of voice that Fred has. And despite that, I still believed that I could make it in radio with a voice, and I did not have a very good voice. So,
So it's the cigars
But I-
that have deepened it. Because it's very deep.
yes, and age. Yeah.
But yeah, you were like we called you and Larry Canaries, didn't we?
Yeah,
Back
exactly.
In the day?
Yeah, we
And
were.
how did that kind of go?
I don't know. How did
You
that
went
go?
like, playing the hot hits.
Oh, playing the hot hits on Kiss AM. Yeah. Wah, wah. Yeah.
It's funny. I always liked to be in plays and stuff. When I was in school, I really dug it. But I never thought that I would do it as a profession. My father was a producer, a TV producer, and they were not too encouraging about it because they saw friends of theirs that weren't working and how miserable it was, parts of it, and they were not like. But I just, I thought it was fun. And when I went to like a hippie college where you could do whatever, you could like build a rocking chair if you wanted to do whatever you want. So a friend of mine asked me to be in a play that he was directing, so I did it. And then other people asked me to be in their plays. I thought, oh, this is great. It's no work, or it's work, but it's not like class work. Right. So I took a few classes, but I mostly just was in plays, and that really enjoyed that. And then I went through like 4 years of that, and I thought, well, boy, what am I going to do? And then I met this woman named Tina Packer, and she had a real professional company. And she said, would you like to join? I thought, wow, yes, I did. And I joined the company, and we went to England for a little while, and I realized that I didn't know very much. I realized from that experience that I needed to learn more. So then I went to drama school after that.
Wow.
But she saw something in you that
Yeah.
early on, huh?
Yes, she saw that she could fill the stage the size of 2 people by just hiring one. She saw, there was something that she liked.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
you're very charismatic. We are at 888-531-7171. Give a call if you have a question. We are Our Place Out Loud. We're here. And if you've seen In a World, please give a call. Maddie, you have a question?
Yeah, what's the most memorable thing you voiced over, I think is the proper way to say that.
You did it better than I did.
Memorable for me, you mean, having done it?
Yeah.
Well, I did the Olympics in 1998
Wow.
for CBS, and that was really cool. I got to go to Japan. It was a town called Nagano, Japan, which is way up in the mountains, the Winter Olympics. And that was really interesting because it was a different country, and got to meet a lot of the athletes and hang around with them. And that was, for me, kind of the highlight of my career, just because it was in a different country and it was really interesting and living in a different place. So not everything was different. And my wife, this is 1998, so what is that, like maybe 15, 16 years ago? We weren't
Good.
married yet.
Yes. 15, 16. Yeah.
We weren't married yet, but she got to come with me. So that also made it really
That
cool.
is
Although because it was Japan, we had a hotel room about the size of that table. But that was a great experience. What about you, Joe?
I would say for me, announcing the Grammys, which I did 3 years, and the Emmy Awards, Primetime Emmys, I did 3 years. When I got into live announcing, that was very exciting. I mean, I had done radio, moved into promos, and worked for Fox and CBS, announcing, for the shows on those networks. But doing those prestigious shows, that really jazzed me. I just thought that was really cool. And I got to do a few game shows as well, which was fun. I've been pretty lucky. I've had like a few different genres. If things start to fall off, I look for what else am I going to do next. Always trying to find somewhere else where I can go.
So show the kids the difference between your upbeat comedy voiceover on
Yes.
CBS and your very dramatic, serious
okay.
NBC guy.
Let's see. Thursday, it's an all-new 2.5 Men on CBS. Tonight on Heroes, only on NBC.
I should point out to you, you may not know this, that Joe was well known originally doing the lighter stuff that you just heard, and then he began to do that very dramatic stuff. People didn't know that it was him.
Right.
Right.
Really?
And that's how he got the networks to agree to not have an exclusive on him. How would those negotiations go?
Well, actually, we're all freelancers, and I imagine you were a freelancer as well when you were working. Did you have a contract for the Olympics, or was that, I imagine?
I had a contract for that particular job,
yeah.
but in general, I was freelance.
Normally, we're just freelance, and, you do your job. I did a few CBS promos today. I don't know if they're going to call me tomorrow, but they have been calling me for the past 20 years, so, hopefully they will. But you never know, if they're going to call you again. So what happened was actually Don LaFontaine, who, is kind of the centerpiece of this film in a world, was so incredibly talented and had this unbelievable voice. He worked for all the networks, and he kind of opened up the gates for all of us. And so because of that, we were able to do different networks, be working for a Fox and work for CBS and do something over at NBC and not have that much of a problem. At the beginning, they were saying, hey, you can't do that. And then the agent would say, well, you want to put them under an exclusive. And they go, well, I don't want to do that. And I'd have to put money on the table. So we kind of, were able to get around it that
Right.
way. Yeah.
You negotiated.
But Don really kicked open the door.
How did Don sound? The kids would know Don,
Oh,
right?
my gosh. Well,
His famous line was "In a World," but he had a voice that was unmistakable. I'll try and do it. I won't do it very well. In a world where that kind of thing.
yeah.
A very
world.
Yeah. Very deep, very, very airy sounding voice. There was him and there was everybody else. He dominated our business for, over 20 years.
And, he talked about the fact that his voice, in its frequency range, he had, that depth and that very deep voice, but there was a part of his voice that would cut right through all of the explosions. It'd be a trailer for some big, epic film. There could be explosions and orchestral music and all of this stuff going on, but his voice just kind of lived in an area that just kind of cut right through that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. All right. Are you guys ready to help solve some teenage problems?
Yes.
Because
I do
that's
it
why
all day
we called
long.
you here.
All day
I
long.
does do it all day long.
All right. So,
I used to do it.
Don't Hate the Awesomeness wants to know.
By the way, the way I used to
Yes.
do it, I would say, go talk to your mother. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Thank you, Ann.
I think that would solve probably most people's problems because
Yeah.
she's very wise.
Mm-hmm.
My friend told me that she really is considering going into the Army when she's out of school. That scared me tremendously. I'm scared she might get killed there. She's a senior. What do I do, Marian?
Well, my initial thought when I read this is, yeah, that's pretty scary. But at the same time, that friend is making a decision that I think she thinks is the right choice. And it's something that might be a little comforting to know is being in the Army doesn't particularly mean you're going to be fighting. There's plenty of jobs in the Army that involve being behind closed doors and just doing things, not behind closed doors in like secretive sense, but just like not out on a battlefield fighting. And my grandpa he was drafted to the Army for I think 4 years or something, or 2 years, and he never touched a battlefield. So obviously that was a long time ago. But the point is that I think that they're trying to make a choice for them that they think they'll really enjoy and they think is the right choice. And it's not for you to do anything about it, but more come to terms with it and just make sure that you know that you care about them.
That sounds like a very good answer. I also would want to advise that for a lot of people, education is too expensive. The Army provides all kinds of education, all kinds of traveling opportunities, and it teaches you a sense of discipline and purpose and self-esteem that you may not get anywhere else. So there's just like a ton of people who make their career in the armed forces, and yes, it might be a little bit scary for loved ones, but it's a really honorable way to make a living. And if she says she wants to do it, I would say, just support her. Gentlemen?
I agree. I mean, I think that joining the armed forces, and like you said, you don't necessarily go into battle, but it's a great opportunity to learn a skill and all kinds of skills, from high tech to any number of things. I've had friends from school, high school, who made that decision, and I was a little upset by it as well. But you know what? One friend in particular absolutely loved it, went into the Navy, and he got into a career in telecommunications, which is something that stayed with him for his entire life. And then he had a great retirement plan and pension plan. So it was.
That's how Fritz learned how to be a disc jockey.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fritz Coleman. Yeah. In
Oh,
the Navy.
no
Yeah.
kidding.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
There's sure Armed Forces radio and television. Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Any
think,
number of things.
Yeah. I mean, I really think it. Go ahead, Kyo.
Yeah, I think it's really sweet that you're scared and worried for your friend. But just it's probably not as scary as you probably think it is. I have friends in the Army that I see, like, they post things on Facebook, and like I see them, they look happy and they're fine. So
Well, if there's Facebook in the Army, I say we should all go. That's
Yeah.
just Army has Facebook now. It's an all new Army. Go ahead, Maddie.
I think that it's really important to know that you can't change her mind for her. You
Right.
can talk to her about it. You can express that you care about her and you don't want her to be in danger, but just kind of know that what you say, it might kind of impact how she feels about you, but it may not change her mind about the whole thing.
That's very wise.
Mhm.
Very well
I think
said.
you guys are awfully smart.
Yeah.
Aren't
Really.
they
That was
good?
great advice.
Yes, I mean, I think that's excellent advice. When you love somebody, a friend or anybody, it's always a split, because on one hand, you care about them, you're concerned about them, but you also kind of have to let them be who they are. That's part of loving somebody, even a family member. So I think that's good advice. I think it's okay to be honest with them, but then you got to let them do what seems right to them, and not hound them about it or bother them about it. Let them be who they are, I think.
Ryan, would you like to read Colored Silence's letter?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Alrighty. So, Colored Silence says, "Help! I accidentally let it slip to my stepfather that I have a date to homecoming. When I refused to tell him who, he proceeded to get irrational and angry, and now he won't speak to me. But I know even if I give him a hint of who the guy is, he'll go threaten him and make him cancel the date. My stepfather is so controlling. He's ruining my life. He's ruining my dating life. I'm not doing anything stupid with boys, and they're not a priority in my life, but I'd like to have dates and to dances and stuff. What should I do?"
Okay, so the question is, does she have to tell her stepfather the identity of the person she's going to a dance with, Montana?
Well, first of all, would your mom be more rational about this? Because maybe you could tell your mom and tell her to talk to your stepfather and try to reason with him. Because if you guys are living together and he has some sort of control over you, this is going to come up sooner or later. So you best get it out of the way right now. Otherwise, he won't let you get married or date till you're married.
It's
So,
really a bad idea to start dating after you're married.
really bad idea.
Now you tell me.
Kyo?
Yes, my advice is similar. My first thought when I read this was talk to mom and have her talk to your stepdad, because if your stepdad's not going to listen to you, then he will be more likely to listen to your mom.
Ryan?
Yeah, well, I agree with what's been said. Definitely, if your mom is a better person for talking to you about this, go to her, tell her how you feel. But as for, what should I do? I think it kind of depends on what role your stepfather actually plays in your life. If he was the one who's raised you since you were really young, if he's been, a major part of your life since you were little, if your parents got divorced when you were, 1 or something, I think he definitely deserves more involvement in your social activities. But, my soon-to-be stepdad, my parents he just got engaged to my mom a couple months ago, so I don't feel the connection to him that I would if someone had raised me. So like when he asks me something, I'm just like, I'm not comfortable telling you. I don't want to tell you or something. He's like, okay, that's, understandable. Sometimes he doesn't say okay, and at that point I go to my mom and she works stuff out. And sometimes they just kind of have to be okay with him being irrational about things and let him get irrational and just sit there and listen.
All right, but does even a father or a stepfather have a right to know the person you're going to be attending a function with if you know they're going to harass that person and you've been given permission to go to the function? Like, do they have a right to know the identity? Maddie?
I feel like they do have the right as long as they aren't going to act irrationally on knowing the information. So, I mean, if it were me, I would kind of tell the stepdad, I'll tell you, but you can't do anything about it. I mean, like, if you really want to hear the information, that's fine, but you just can't do anything about it. Because I know what you've done in the past, and I don't really feel comfortable with you acting that way towards this person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it's hard because, of course, you want to make sure that it's safe and they're going with a safe person. So I think they have the right to know who you're going with, but they don't have the right to harass the person. They definitely don't have that right. Montana.
Like he was saying earlier in the show when he said you kind of have to pick and choose based on your own moral ground of who to listen to. And if your stepfather's going to be super irrational about this and go beat up the guy, maybe he's not somebody you should be listening to in your life as much as, say, like, somebody who would sit down and talk to you about it rationally, like, don't do anything stupid, stuff like that.
I'm just wondering if she can get away with going to this dance without telling him, like, what the repercussions would be.
No, I mean, she should tell her mom and then, like, talk to them, but
don't you feel like
for future reference,
I wouldn't be getting this letter if the mom were any help at all.
I guess so. Well, like, if you have any other relatives, like, if he has any siblings, or if you have grandparents from his side that are close to him and will talk to him and are also listening to you. I mean, her, not you.
Maybe your mom could chaperone the dance so that your stepdad would know that.
I don't think that's a thing. People
Don't do that.
No.
Homecoming with your mom, not what you
Not
want to
good.
do.
No. Are we speaking from experience or no?
No.
Okay. All right.
But I'm just, saying,
Yeah.
I would never want to go to homecoming.
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
I wonder if the girl who wrote that, who said, I know that he's gonna harass him, is saying that based on something that happened
I
before?
think she is. She's
Yeah,
saying,
well, that's what I kind of thought about that, and I just kind of figured she was thinking on that.
Yeah.
But I've definitely seen things that, my dad or stepdad or mom have done in the past that has led me to believe something else will happen, but not like I'm just basing things and creating a pattern, if that makes any sense. So my dad might yell at me for playing music too loud or whatever. Not that I do that, but and then I assume that next time I play video games too loud, he's going to yell at me. And this is a really bad example, but like it might just be that he doesn't like music, but he doesn't care about video games. That's a really bad example, but to the extent that like only be sure that he's going to do that if that's exactly what he's done or has said he's going to do. And then in terms of like Montana, what you were saying about like the harassment aspect, maybe he's going to beat the guy up. But when you said that, I thought when she said that, I thought he was just like going to call him and just be like, dude, what are you doing? You can't take my daughter to homecoming.
Some guys are crazy. Some guys have guns, so.
I doubt he's going to pull a gun on someone for taking his
you don't
stepdaughter to
know.
homecoming.
They could be super redneck.
It sounds like she just wants to go to the dance.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Just go to the dance.
We are Our Place Out Loud, 888-531-7171. We're going to jump to the next question. Hi. His screen name, first of all, is very... What happened?
Oh, we have a question from the chat.
Oh, we have a question from chat. I'm sorry.
It's fun.
For you, Joe. Let you guys take it.
Do either of you talk in your sleep? And if so, what voice do you use?
That's great.
In a world
And-
where I'm dreaming.
No, I do not talk in my sleep. Do you talk in your sleep?
I don't know.
He's asleep.
Where's
I'm
Leslie?
sleeping.
Is
I don't
Leslie
know.
here?
Asleep.
We'll have to check
That's a
on
really
that.
good question,
Yeah.
though. Because it sounds like if you have, like, surround sound in your bedroom, it could be... the dreams could be, very vivid.
Yeah.
But so... I was going to say this next question. The kid's screen name, which I don't think that people should have a self-deprecating screen name. And his screen name is Hi, I'm Fat. So then he writes, how do I ask a girl out? I'm ugly and fat. First of all, change your screen name because you want to whether it's your screen name or your password or something that you repeat or see all the time, make it positive.
Right.
Because words are things, and you don't want to constantly see something that's reminding you that you don't think highly of yourself. It's just not a good idea. So you got to change the loop in your brain, Maddie.
So a couple things. Fat is a noun and an adjective, and when you use it as a noun, like as in like what fat is, I mean that's like okay because it's just describing a thing, but I mean fat as an adjective describing a person it's all like for every person. It's like how people feel about themselves. It's like it's opinion based.
It's
not
relative. It's
Subjective.
relative to
Subjective.
what how you came to Earth and how you're meant to be. Mixed with, do you have healthy eating habits and do you care about yourself and others and what kind of foods is your mom bringing into the household? What's available to you? What could you be? How could you be different after the age of 18 when you have more control over what's prepared for you? These types of things. Is that what you mean, Maddie?
Yeah, that is what I mean. And then also it's just kind of like, everybody is different. No two people are like carbon copies. I mean, besides, like when they actually meet people, but that's a whole nother story. But like, there's no way to compare, it's just everybody is different. There's no, you can't compare because it's not the same.
Let's go to Ryan.
I don't mean to be like a downer or anything, but there's still like obesity. So don't just think that like if you're like obese, don't be like, I'm just not going to think of myself as fat and then everything's good. But that was not my point. My point was that the guidelines don't really change. Like if I was 400 pounds or 4 pounds, I'd work up the guts to walk up to her and say, hey, do you want to go on a date with me sometime?
Well-
or do you want to go to the movies or whatever it is?
I don't want to sound controversial, but I'm going to throw this out there because it's real, and I think it's real, and I'll see what you guys say because you've been through dating and you're married and everything. There's people who are in your league, and there's people who are not
That's
in your
true.
league. And let's call, as Ayanla says, let's call a thing a thing. And let's not pretend that doesn't exist, because to just say to your little son or daughter, just go ask her when you know he's going to get turned down, like that may be traumatic. And sometimes parents are like, just do it. And sometimes parents are like, oh, I don't want you to fail, so don't do it. I'm doing a preemptive strike on this. I know we have to go to a phone call, but is that a controversial thing that I've just said, that some people are in your league and
No.
some people aren't? Is that a fair statement, Kyo?
I would say so, to a certain degree. I think that looks aren't as important as people make them out to be.
Okay, fair enough.
And I mean, looks of like I think that if you want to be seen highly, then you need to think of yourself highly, and you need to see yourself as attractive. Because even if you're the best looking person out there, if you don't think that you're good looking, then you're not gonna have any success, really.
And the other important factor here is like not just like in your league, but in your circle of friends, because you don't just go, no matter what you think you look like, don't just go from having a crush on somebody to dating. Mm-hmm. Get to know the person. That's key, because your odds go up very, very favorably if you are someone they are genuinely fond of. Montana.
Well, like I completely understand the whole thing with the controversial thing you said, where it's like there are people who are in your league, there are people too hot for you, and or not to be mean, but
right.
It's true, and but at the same time, fat has become too much of a persona. Like if you go to like any shopping mall and you just watch couples, a good deal of them are going to be very, well, in some people's opinion, very unattractive. And then you're like, oh my God, how did they get anybody to be happy with? But
they did.
But they did, because it's not just looks. A big deal of it is like personality, humor. So like even if you think you're fat and ugly, Well, first of all, don't think that. Don't put that out there, because then that gives license for other people to call you fat and ugly. But second of all, if you really want to do something about it, make up for it in your personality and depth.
That's so true.
Let's jump to the phone call real quick, Keo. Hello. Thank you. Hello. Thank you for calling Our Place Out Loud. Who do we have here?
This is Jordan Chris Colfer.
Hello, Mrs. Jordan Chris Colfer. Would you like to say hello to our two guest stars, Joe Cipriano and Fred?
I would.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Do you have a question for them?
Yes. What is the name of the book you wrote?
Joe's book.
The book is called Living on Air. It will be released November 1st, and it's sort of a memoir. My life in broadcasting, people I've met, like Louise Palanker.
Yes, I'm in the book. There's
yes.
at least a paragraph devoted to me.
Yes.
And you'll want to read it.
Which
and
was part of the
reread it.
notes that I got back. You said, put something in there about
More-
me.
I did. And
So
I think I
did.
sent you a photograph of myself.
Yes,
that
I
I
have
would
a
like to have
photo.
included.
You sent me a lot of things.
I did.
Louise, yeah. But
I
thank
forgot
you for
for
asking.
a second that it was about you. And then
Right, exactly. Yeah. But thank you for asking. So hopefully it'll be available for pre-sale in October. Living on Air.
And will we find it in the Kindle store?
You'll find it in Kindle, yes, all the ebooks, and also Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and hopefully in stores as well.
Ooh,
Yeah.
exciting. Thank you for that question, Mrs. Colfer. Anything for Fred? He is the star of In a World.
Not at the moment.
Well, if you go to the movie, you will see him in a sauna.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to.
I have mentioned that before. I mean, there is the bravery of running into a burning building to save a puppy.
Right.
And then there's the bravery of Fred doing those scenes in the sauna.
How
Yeah.
many days of sauna scenes were there, Fred?
There was actually only one day of shooting, but it recurs throughout the movie.
It does.
It does.
Over and over and over.
Yes. And
Same
What was
outfit.
Lake? Why was Lake doing that? What was?
She's got a little crush on him.
I think the opposite.
that's understandable.
I think she
Yeah.
wanted to torment me. She knew she was doing such a great thing for my work and my career. This relates to the previous question. Honestly, that's a complex and difficult question, and I'll tell you something that may surprise a lot of people, although maybe it won't some. People who are overweight don't actually choose to be overweight. They don't choose that any more than people who are gay or of color or anything like that. Sometimes even people like me, I've been overweight all my life, and I walk down the street and I see somebody who's really heavy, and I think, what's wrong with them? Why don't they stop eating those hamburgers? What's wrong with them? Don't they know? And I've been...
Hamburgers are good, though.
Well, they are
They
good.
are good.
They are good. But the difference between somebody who eats too many hamburgers or too many things that aren't good for you and somebody who doesn't is people have other things to rely on to feel good besides food, most people. Other people don't have a wide variety of things from which they can derive satisfaction in life, so food becomes one of the things that they turn to. But it's my personal opinion, having been in that status my whole life, that that's largely a genetic issue. I really do believe that. I really experienced that. So it's a complex thing, but I think that whoever said, I don't remember who said it, but I think they were right, that if you refer to yourself that way, even if you make jokes about yourself that way, and I tend to make that mistake a lot, it does color the way that you think of yourself, and it does put you at a disadvantage when you are trying to make a good impression on people. And after all, the truth is, as my grandmother used to say, every lid has a pot, or every pot has a lid. People like all kinds of things about people. I disagree with you that there is not actually, that people don't actually exist who are out of your league. There may be some people for whom that's true, but there's no absolute rule about it.
No, there's never any absolute, and you can always grow into each other's leagues through knowledge of each other. But to just look across the room and see someone that you think is attractive and go right from that, like, oh, I like that person, and maybe they're in the cheerleader group and you're in the nerd group, to walk across the cafeteria and ask that person out, your likelihood for success isn't as great as if you had gotten to know that person, in advance of that. Keo.
Yeah, and my advice for any time you feel down about your weight or whatever is do some sit-ups or push-ups or whatever. Like, whenever I feel like I'm not good at something or I want to be better, I deal with it by working towards it and being like, well, at least now I'm working towards where I want to be. And it's like, I'm on the way now.
So you're part of the solution instead of just repeating the problem. Ryan?
And something that I think can apply to this, like Kia was saying, like do a sit-up or do some sit-ups or some push-ups. I think it can apply to a lot of things, which is just one is better than none. So one sit-up's better than no sit-ups, even if that's all you can do. Eating one less French fry is better than no less French fries. Like, anything makes a difference, and work your way into it, and just improve in every way you can.
Right, but at a certain point, or a certain age, or whatever it is, you just have to be satisfied with who you are. And if you're genetically predisposed to be a little bit heavier than the average guy at the mall, then that's okay. And like what Fred said, don't make self-deprecating jokes about it, because maybe that got you through high school, but as a man, like, you're very accomplished, but very handsome, very well respected, and I don't look at you as a weight. I look at you as Fred, and so everyone's in your league because you've established yourself as a personality who's captivating, and anyone can do that. Everyone has something, your eyes, your smile, that's beautiful about you that other people will see once they know the true you, Ryan.
The thing you said about everyone having to be satisfied with themselves, I personally disagree with that. I think you need to respect yourself, but I don't think it's a good idea to ever be satisfied with yourself. If you never think that you can push yourself to be better than you are right now, then you're not going to go very far.
I agree.
So satisfaction, I would call it respect.
Well, respect. Okay, I like that.
Go along with the question.
Challenge. Yes.
Sorry for interrupting, but go along with the question.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a little bit of fat on them, no matter what. Mm-hmm. That's how us people are made. Mm-hmm. And there's no such thing as ugly. It's natural beauty.
Very well said. Thank you so much for calling, Mrs. Culfer. We're going to jump to Thread Theater, and I don't think I've assigned roles yet, and I'm not even sure how many roles are in it, but, you have, Joe, at the end of Thread Theater, you will be doing the part of, and now Joe Cipriano will read the dictionary definition of the word ratchet. So let's start by, let's see.
Can I share that with Fred?
Yes, of course you can. So,
Wheezy,
yes.
would you mind if, in contrast to that definition, I pulled up the Urban Dictionary definition?
Yes, after they do theirs. And thank you for that. So, Ryan, why don't you play the part of Maxine the gymnast?
Sounds
good. Kiamute, why don't you play the part of Hey Wagner? And then, Montana, you can be Wolfie. And Maddie, you can be beauty lover, living laughter, and loving. Or did I assign that one already? No, you did. All right. And Maxine the gymnast. Oh, no. I gave Maxine the gymnast. Okay. So, yeah, you have the other two parts. Okay, ready? And curtain up with Maxine the gymnast.
What does ratchet mean? I've been called ratchet by a boy that used to like me. Please help.
Ratchet means, well, it means not attractive. And I'm sorry this guy is saying this to you. That's uncalled for. I imagine you're beautiful.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
In my area, ratchet means ugly as heck and dirty or jacked up. Another word we use is crusty. It's just like ratchet.
That's so accurate.
It's so true. Okay. It's just like ratchet, so there's something you can call him.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I was trying to find the definition. Wow, I need to focus. All right.
Okay,
that was it. That was your LOL
Okay,
right
lol.
there. That was good.
Yeah, he did actually. LOL.
Yeah.
I always say if
it's on the buffet.
If it's on the buffet, somebody wants it, and he used to want you, and I guarantee this person has terrible spelling.
It's text speak.
And I guarantee somebody else does too, so don't listen to his crusty behind self.
In my school, it means gross.
At my school, ratchet is a cool thing. I honestly don't think that ratchet is ugly. People at my school do the ratchet sign and think, and that is mostly the popular crew. I do it too. I can't believe that people would call you ugly. I really can't. I hope that everyone gave their best. I hope I helped.
And now Joe Cipriano and Fred
Yes.
Melamed
Yes.
will read the dictionary definition of the word ratchet.
The Urban Dictionary one's amazing, for the record.
I would like to start with ratchet, noun, a device in which a toothed rack or wheel is engaged by a pawl to permit motion in one direction only. The tooth, rack, or wheel forming part of such a device. And now for the verb. I pass it on to Fred.
Ratchet, the verb, usually followed by up or down. To operate using a ratchet. To increase or decrease, especially irreversibly. Electricity prices will ratchet up this year.
Ah.
Hitchcock ratchets up the tension once again.
He did.
From the French rocher. From Old French roquet. Blunt head of a lance of Germanic origin.
You guys need to make a TV show out of that.
Yes.
Just definitions.
Just definitions.
Like teenage culture definitions and what they really mean.
And now a dramatic reading from the dictionary.
That was so awesome.
Fred.
Okay, Ryan, Urban Dictionary.
It's not going to be as funny now. Okay, so it's Ratchet, a diva, mostly from urban cities and ghettos, that has reason to believe she's every man's eye candy. Unfortunately, she's wrong. Typical signs to beware of include, but are not limited to, owning a BlackBerry, blaring anything by Drake, 2 Chainz, Nicki Minaj, Gucci Mane, Waka Flocka, Lil Wayne, T-Pain, Cali Swag District, or any other garbage entertainment rapper. Rattly quotes lyrics from aforementioned artists. Has a weave reminiscent of a bird's nest after a tempest hit the tree it was in and died at least thrice. Oh, God, there's so many. It's so long. I don't want to read the whole thing. But, are mind-numbingly stupid. A safe assumption to make would be saying they're uneducated, as if they couldn't pass the fourth grade. Oh, God, this is great. If spotted, please report to the authorities, notifying them that they are possible smack addicts or potential... I don't know what that means. Okay, I'm just going to stop because I don't know what any of this means.
I've learned something. I did not know what a
Me
ratchet
too,
was.
ratchet, yeah.
I'm
that's
going to
good.
use it to define everything.
It's
from
derogatory.
now on. I guess it's derogatory, but
Total
yeah,
ratchet.
I think you can definitely come
Yeah.
back with crusty. you
Krusty's
know, and I
good,
think
yeah.
Crusty is
No,
good.
there are some words, and I'm sorry, but there are some words that just don't need to exist. Crusty, moist. Like, there's some words I don't want to hear. They just don't
Moist.
exist. Like,
Moist.
just don't need to be
Yeah.
around. Like, yeah.
Moist
How is
never
moist
good.
used?
Moist.
Like a moist towelette. But
No,
it's
No,
just,
I know,
Yes.
but there's a more
Just-
hip way of...
there's
of-
not an
of-
urban
no,
definition
just,
of
just
that.
the way the
words that I
word
not
sounds.
hip. Yeah, just a crusty.
Moist sounds moisty.
Yeah, it's
It
nasty.
does.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't
Yeah.
know.
It sounds swampy. Can
Yeah.
I be swampy though? Because I like swampy. Maddie.
I have a question for Fred. Did you do the voiceover for The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
No,
No.
no, I don't know who did that.
Your voice sounds exactly
He sounds
like
like,
the
yeah,
person.
like that, yeah.
All right, so I would say
Kidding.
Joe and Fred, you can share the next. We got a 19-year-old guy who wanted to come into the app, and I guess is going into law enforcement, and wanted to warn kids about the dangers of revealing too much about themselves online. So could you share the post from New FBT?
Alrighty. This is an Our Place post, read by yours truly. A friendly reminder to the community. I've noticed that there are several users, many under the age of 18, who displayed their KIK,
Kick name.
their kick names and email addresses. I just wanted to take a moment to educate users on how dangerous this is. My background is in law enforcement and psychology. There are many ways a predator can track your location. All they need is your first and last name in some cases.
Basically, anything can be used to find you because everything is linked to each other. Email linked to Facebook, Kik, YouTube, etc. Just to give you an idea, I'm confident that if I really wanted to, I can find someone's location with just one of these: email, school name, phone number, Kik name, YouTube name, Instagram name, first name, last name, and province, state, or photos. Do not trust anyone with your personal information. Just because someone's profile says they're a 15-year-old male does not mean that that is really who they are. I'm not saying this to scare anyone. I'm sure for the most part this is a safe and helpful network, but just use caution.
Okay, so now Fred, you said you have 11-year-olds.
Twin boys.
And how do you monitor what they can and can't do online?
There are settings that we set beforehand, Google settings, that allow us to restrict what it is that they can access via the computer. We set those, and that's pretty much the extent of what we do as far as monitoring goes. I often go on with my son, who tends to be most active at it, just because we have some of the same interests. But that I'd say that the Google parameters are really the extent of most of what we do.
But you do know that if he has an iPod Touch, he's got access to the internet on his mobile device.
He doesn't have a mobile device.
Okay, so that's just your way of handling that. They don't have mobile devices.
Yeah.
So
although
if
I
they
have an iPad at home,
Mm-hmm.
which I think he does get to sometimes. Sometimes, and I probably should be more vigilant about controlling that.
So do you guys think it's a matter of just the parents saying you can't have this, or we're putting parental controls? Is that more important than teaching the kid what are the red flags of someone who is really probably not who they're pretending to be? Like, what's more important, parental security or advising your child as to using their own gut? Maddie?
Definitely advising your child about how to kind of know when it's a situation where you shouldn't give someone your information. Or if it's like not a safe site, or if like a link is not going to take you to the place it says it's going to go to.
Or if someone asks a question which is suspicious, because I'm constantly in the app sort of trying to tell kids, if someone says, oh, we have so much in common, you're so pretty, like right out of the gate, like what? Like who are you and why are you telling me this? That's a red flag to me. Montana.
Like Maddie said, it's definitely more about educating your kids, because like if you take away their like access to internet at home, well, yeah, they won't do it at home, but it's so easy to get on the internet. Like borrow your friend's phone, borrow your other friend's phone, borrow your other friend's phone, go to school, hack the school thing, whatever.
Ryan?
I think it's a combination of both, similar to like training wheels, because there's a point when you take those training wheels off and you say, like, you got to do this on your own now, and I'm going to tell you about the red flags, and you're going to go forward and figure things out. But at the beginning, it's important, I think, to be on there with your kid and learn it with them, because as much as you tell them about red flags without a prior experience, they're not going to make nearly as much sense. So you start out with I would say that it's best to start with your kid, like actually checking in on their Facebook, doing things like that, and then later on say, now you've been online for a while, you've encountered some things, and I'm not too worried about you, so I'm going to let you go on your own, but keep in mind blah XYZ.
All right, so should you give your kids cautionary tales such as the girl who went to meet a 15-year-old boy at the end of her driveway and never came home again?
Yes.
Or is that too
scary?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, do that.
Do that.
From my perspective, I would much rather, because my friend's mom actually was the first person to tell me one of those stories about Club Penguin when I was little.
A Club Penguin murder?
Apparently, I don't know if it was a murder or what, or kidnapping or what, but she told me some story like that. And she told me and her son and one other friend of ours, and like I think she was like, "Oh, I'm just doing this to be nice, to keep an eye out for you." My mom was like, "You shouldn't have told him that. He's terrified to go on Club Penguin now." And I was pretty darn good at that game too, but I definitely appreciate it though, because I'd rather be much more aware than much less aware. And so as much as I may not have met one person who I might have been slightly friends with, who I met in my French driveway, I'm glad that I wasn't kidnapped, more so that I'm sad that I didn't meet that person that I don't know about, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Q.
I think it's important to go on the internet and do things with your kids, with them, to show them, and also for parents to learn about the internet, because to learn, to know how to use the computer and kind of be literate in the sense that what kind of things happen and what kind of things don't.
What could go wrong?
Right.
I think everyone should know in any kind of situation what could go wrong, because then you're watchful and you're not blindsided. Maddie.
I have a question for all the parents in the room. As a parent, what is your biggest concern for your kids on the internet? Are you worried that someone's going to find them and kind of trick them into, getting taken away from your driveway? Are you worried that they're going to see something that's not age appropriate? Are you worried that someone's going to hack their computer? What's the biggest concerns as parents?
That's a good question.
I'd say the overarching fear is a danger to them that is a real present danger. In other words, being hurt, being abused, being kidnapped, being treated in any way sexually that's inappropriate. I'm not terribly worried about my children viewing things that people might view as inappropriate for their age. Even though that's a consideration, it's not that's not a great threat to me. I do tell my son, who does do a lot of web surfing, not to give out any personal information, not to say his name, his address, his phone number, anything like that, and to be aware of the fact that there are people who pose as other people, and therefore he has to be on guard about it. But I'm not, it doesn't scare me that he might see naked people, particularly, although I certainly don't encourage him to do that.
Ryan?
This is not about this, but like,
Okay.
Okay. So, basketball season started for me, and I just want to say this before the show's over. I won't be on the show until about February, so I just wanted to let you guys know where I'm going. I already talked to Wheezy and stuff, but I wanted to let you guys know that I also won't be as active in the app because I have an Android phone now, but I'll be using my mom's iPad to be in there as much as I can, and I'll still be in the dashboard doing as much mod stuff as I can. So if you guys are wondering where I've gone, that's basketball.
All right, we'll try and call in. Have a great basketball
will.
season.
Thank you.
And we're going to have to wrap it up. I want to thank our guests, Joe Cipriano and Fred Melamed,
Thank
for
you, guys.
being on the
Thank
show.
you.
It was
We
really
love
fun
you.
being
You're
here.
a wonderful
Yes,
guest.
I
our
learned
best
a lot
guest
tonight.
ever.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
so much. And look out for Joe's book, Living on Air. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
I've been out there wandering. I've been in here wondering, hoping, reaching, wishing I could find my way. Then I found